This is an extract from the Leader podcast hosted by me, David Marsland. Find us wherever you stream your podcasts. Pick an airport in England, this one's Gatwick, and you'll find thousands of travellers getting back on planes to get out of the country for the first time since the pandemic restrictions were lifted. Airlines are, of course, delighted to get customers back, and they're offering cheap deals for those quick enough to find them. The standard spotted flights were £5 going to Greece on June the 6th. But Greece is on the amber list, and government advice is not to travel to countries on that list for holidays, isn't it? Well, it kind of depends on which minister you ask, and almost on which day you ask them. Our political editor Joe Murphy's here to try and clear things up. Joe, we seem to have been getting some contradictory advice here. Has the government position on whether we can go to amber list countries been cleared up yet?
Not if you listen to government ministers, of course. Over the last 24 hours, we've had 4 ministers, including the Prime Minister, all saying contradictory things. George Eustace saying you can go to amber list countries to see friends. You've had a health minister saying you can't go anywhere because it's too dangerous abroad. You had the Welsh Secretary saying, well, holidays might be essential travel to some. And you've had the Prime Minister saying, don't go to amber list countries. While, as Keir Starmer pointed out today, making it easier to go to amber list countries.
A lot of those amber list countries, like Greece, are in the European Union, Joe. What are they saying about it?
Well, into these rather turbid waters, they've thrown a very giant rock this morning. Ambassadors met to agree the details, which haven't yet been announced in detail, but the decision is there to open their doors and say that Britain is now on a safe list of EU countries, so we can visit them without being quarantined if we've had a double vaccination. So that's less paperwork and no tests if you've had both jabs and you want to go to Spain, Greece, Italy, France. The only problem being you've got to come home again, and at the moment, as under the current rules, you'll have to self-isolate at home and have some expensive PCR tests if you take up their kind offer.
But looking at how busy the airports are, it would certainly appear that a lot of people do have an interest in that kind of offer, don't they?
They certainly do, and I've been speaking to travel agents and the industry associations this morning, and they're saying, yeah, bookings are up and bookings are going up every day, and they're very sure that the EU's decision, which will be formally announced on Friday, will trigger a bunch more bookings. And I'm sure that any listeners who heard Gillian Keegan, the Minister for Skills this morning, doing a media round, will probably have thought, it's just a matter of time before I can book, so maybe I'll grab one of the many £5 bargains which are going at the moment. For example, she said she was hoping that the green list of countries we can go to for holidays will be expanded very soon. I have to say I spoke to a senior minister who was quite surprised to hear that, who said, well, it's at least another 2 weeks before the scientific advisors who will be recommending on this give their advice, and so it's way too early to tell. A similar message that it's way too early to tell came from number 10 sources I spoke to. So she was on her own there, and then, well, some would say she confused things further by saying that actually there aren't any rules, there's guidance against going to amber list countries.
So you said there's going to be this review of which countries go on to which list in 2 weeks' time. Will that also come with any kind of clarification about what the green, amber and red lists actually mean? Or are we just going to have to figure this out for ourselves?
Well, of course, the government's pitch is that now is the time for us to be figuring things out more and more for ourselves. The problem for that is that there'll always be some people who see a grey area as one they can just stride through, which is fine when cases are falling, but if this new Indian variant results in a general rise in cases, then grey areas could be a huge problem zone. And as for the specific travel advice, it's another fortnight before we are due to have the review and an announcement of what the likely direction of travel is. I think if bookings continue to rise, there'll be some pressure for the government to really come out and clear things up a bit earlier than that.
There's more on this at standard.co.uk. Follow the live blog for the latest advice and breaking news.